There are three assumptions people make about trauma. 1, it's going to ruin their whole life. 2, they are damaged goods. And 3, that they will have to live with this forever and that they can never heal. Now, the truth is, trauma does make us feel like we are damaged goods, like we aren't whole, and that it's a disfiguring scar. But the truth is that these symptoms are holding you back from healing. The reason that we feel like we are damaged goods and that we aren't whole is because trauma is The reason we feel like we are damaged goods and that we aren't whole is because trauma is anything that we experience that we don't have the resources to handle. It fractures our psyche into 3 parts, and healing requires us to tap into these 3 parts so that Healing requires us to tap into those 3 parts so that they can come together and we can move forward. Trauma does seep into every area of your life. It can affect your health, your ability to earn money, your relationships, and your mental well-being. However, it's important to remember that these are all symptoms of unresolved trauma, but not the cause. When you address the trauma in your body and in your brain via the nervous system, these symptoms will naturally begin to resolve themselves. Trauma does not have to last forever, and it does not have to hold us back from reaching our goals. A large part of healing happens when we disconnect our anchors to pain and we focus on our future. The hardest thing I've ever had to do was save my own life. A few years ago, I survived attempted murder. I had been kidnapped. I had been tortured for 4 days, beaten, and raped. And I remember laying on the floor in so much pain that my brain had completely shut off. Feeling to my body. I was numb, and I felt myself slipping away. I was tired of fighting. I was tired of taking a beating. I was tired of bleeding. I didn't have tears left to cry. I was giving up. I had resigned to dying. I remember feeling like the floor was swallowing me. It was cold and heavy. I thought I was dead. I thought I was just waiting for my heart to beat its last beat. But what happened next shocked me. As the knife pierced my throat, this voice inside my head said, "Now!" Somehow I had the strength to break one hand free from my binds, and I pushed the attacker off of me, and my inner warrior came through, and I even began to swear at him. And it wasn't until much later that I realized that when I thought I was dying, I was just resting, preparing for the hardest thing I've ever had to do. My brain and body knew that I was going to need the energy to break free, so my body rested. It shut off anything that wasn't essential to my survival. The only problem is that my mind didn't get the memo. So, I want to tell you that when it feels like you are shutting down, when you feel like you have shutting down, when you feel like you have nothing left, when you feel like it's all over, you're not done. Your brain and body are resting, preparing you for something big. Don't try to stop it. Let it rest. Finally! I'm really excited that doctors are actually asking this question. Have you ever been asked by your healthcare provider about your childhood trauma? Now, occasionally I hear about studies being conducted to determine the long-term effects of childhood trauma. And to do so, they are bringing surveys to doctors' offices, asking women about their childhood experiences to determine the link between certain conditions and early childhood trauma. Now, it has been very frustrating to go to the doctor for unexplained phantom pains and other ailments, only to be seen by a doctor that is not trauma-informed and to be looked at like you're crazy or that you're a hypochondriac, or worse, being stigmatized as a drug seeker and being told that it's all in your head. But more studies like this one means that the real causes are being recognized. And it also means that so many women will finally be getting the help that they needed for a long time. So share your experiences in the comments. I want to know, share your experiences in the comments, and I want to know, has a doctor ever asked you about your childhood trauma? I need to share this with you. In addition to trauma-informed peak performance, I'm a hypnotherapist. I use hypnosis with my clients to boost their results. I get such great feedback from my clients and how they love the process and they are seeing the results quickly. And one day, I need to share this with you. Apparently, they're doing construction. It's kind of ironic that I hopped on here because I wanted to share something with you that can actually help you relax. But meanwhile, they're doing construction outside my window. Irony. So in addition to being a trauma-informed peak performance coach, I am a hypnotherapist. I use hypnosis with my clients to boost their results. And I get such great feedback from my clients on how they love the process. And, okay, this one needs to be faster. I need to share this with you. And in addition, I need to share this with you. In addition to being a trauma-informed peak performance coach, I'm also a hypnotherapist. I use hypnosis with my clients to boost their results, and I get such great feedback from them on how they love the process and how they see results quickly. Now, one day I would love to create an app or a library of hypnosis videos specifically for the trauma healing process that I can offer to everyone, not just my one-on-one clients. But until then, I wanted to recommend an app that I have used before that was actually really helpful for me, particularly when I was struggling to sleep. It's called Reverie, and it was developed by a Stanford researcher and professor. And I've even seen it on the Huberman Lab with Andrew Huberman. So this is not sponsored, and I don't even get an affiliate commission. I just really love it, and I can't gatekeep on the good stuff. This is not sponsored, and I do not even get an affiliate commission. I just really love the app, and I can't gatekeep on it. So I wanted to share it with you. So check it out, Reverie. I'll leave a... I just really love it, and I can't I just can't say that word. I really love it, so I had to share it with you. So check a link in the description for the Reverie app. So it's officially Q3, which means the end of summer. I want to know, what are the biggest lessons you have learned so far? I'll go first. I'll go first. It's all about the people you have around you. Relationships are everything. Find the people who support you, who you can support, and it changes everything. It changes everything when you have the right energy around you. I had a chance to connect with some amazing women this summer. Insert the Barbie walk here. It changed everything for me. It reignited a passion within me. It reminded me why I do what I do. And honestly, it helped me cure the loneliness I had been feeling for a long time. I needed to connect with other women who have shared experiences and can see the world through a similar lens. So I want to know, what's your biggest lesson so far this year that you are going to double down on for the rest of the year? So I get this question a lot, actually, when I'm talking about my program. People want to know, how is this different than therapy? Honestly, talk therapy is great. I spent 2 years in talk therapy and I loved it. I have a great relationship with my therapist and I asked her to push me hard, and she did. Talk therapy for trauma is a great way to help you cope with the symptoms of trauma. However, I didn't just want to cope. Talk therapy for trauma is a great way to help cope with the symptoms of trauma. However, I didn't just want to cope. I wanted to get my shit together, and I wanted to stop the crisis cycle. I loved the information I got from my therapist, but I knew I needed more of a transformation. And that's why I designed this program, because it combines more than just psychology. It incorporates the principles of neuroscience, psychology, neuro-linguistic programming, somatic experience, and even hypnotherapy. And honestly, a little bit of tough love. It's designed to release the trauma from your mind and your body. But most importantly, it rewires your brain for success. This is not just about picking you up and dusting you off after crisis. This is about unleashing your superpowers and achieving more than you ever thought possible. So if you're interested, check the link in the description. So if you're interested in the Survivor to CEO program, check the link in the description. So someone once asked me, do you want to help people or do you want to make money? Well, the answer is yes, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a social entrepreneur, and what that means is that I take social Someone once asked me, do you want to help people or do you want to make money? And the answer is yes. And there is nothing wrong with that. I'm a social entrepreneur. And what this means is that I take socially responsible and a trauma-informed approach to making money. And although what I sell is sometimes invisible and doesn't always feel tangible, the results are very real. I put in the hard work. And I was my own guinea pig until I figured out the strategies and science to heal myself. And I want to share that with others. That's why I offer quite a bit of content for people who want to DIY their recovery. That's why I offer quite a bit of free content for people who want to DIY their recovery. That's how I did it. And I won't tell you that it was easy, but you can do it. I went to talk therapy and I went to physical therapy every single week. I read every book I could get my hands on. I cried myself to sleep, desperately hoping that I would make it through just one more night without nightmares and flashbacks. And then I figured it out. I finally figured out that sweet spot where psychology and neuroscience overlap and how to motivate myself to keep going even when it got hard. I spent probably tens of thousands of dollars and found my superpowers. And I'm pretty damn proud of myself. I learned that when you get the right help, it's still not easy, but it's easier and faster and a lot more fun. That's what people pay me for. People pay me to help them get there faster, to get results, and to experience a healing process that feels fun and meaningful instead of a burden and a chore. So yes, I want to help people, and I want to make money. So yes, I want to make my money by helping people. So someone asked me a question the other day, and it took me by surprise. They asked me, why do I do what I do? I'm a trauma-informed peak performance expert, And I was frustrated by therapy and the cultural stereotypes around trauma. There was this emphasis on coping mechanisms and trying to feel better about what happened. But I didn't want to just feel better. I wanted to be better. I was tired of being held back by trauma, putting my whole life on hold until I was healed, but then being convinced that I may never heal and that this was something I would live with forever. I had big dreams, and feeling like damaged goods wasn't going to work for me. I became obsessed with figuring out the root of the problems. I stopped treating my symptoms and trying to think away. I became obsessed with figuring out the root of the problems. I stopped treating my symptoms and trying to think my way out of my emotions. I started focusing on the brain and the body. What? I stopped treating my symptoms and trying to think my way out of my emotions and started focusing on the brain and the body. I stopped just treating my symptoms and trying to think my way out of my emotions and started focusing on the brain and the body. I studied peak performers and what high performers were doing. Like, what does it look like when untraumatized people want to do better? I started my healing journey just trying to get my life back. And I quickly realized I didn't want my life back. I wanted a whole new life, and it was finally possible. Once I started focusing on the right things, my symptoms disappeared. But something more incredible happened. All of the things I was doing to address the trauma in my nervous system actually helped me do more things faster and with more determination and clarity than ever before. It felt like someone turned the lights on and I could see where I was going. My whole life, I had struggled with the effects of trauma. I always felt left out and left behind. It always felt like I was absent the day they handed out the secret handbook to happiness. But removing the veil of trauma made my dreams possible again. I knew I wasn't the only one that felt this way. I knew that so many others who struggle with the effects of trauma were watching their dreams slip away, just trying to survive. Come on, guys, give me a break. The construction. The survivors community is so strong because we support each other. And I knew that I had to help others the way I wish someone had helped me when I needed it. So when you're ready, set up a free support call. The link is in my bio.